chosen one, what belongs to you has never disappeared. It has been preserved until you became steady enough to receive it without losing your peace, integrity, or original purpose. I, Michael, want you to understand this before you continue blaming yourself for the months of delay. There were times when you looked at your financial situation and wondered why you had done everything possible while the results still failed to appear. You worked, calculated, acted carefully, and remained patient, yet provision seemed to stop just before reaching your door. Opportunities that appeared certain suddenly closed. Money that seemed almost within reach was delayed, and promises made to you repeatedly dissolved into silence. You regarded these things as evidence of failure. But I tell you that not every delay is a punishment. Some delays are protective fences, preventing you from entering a season before your hands are ready to preserve what is given. I know there were moments when you felt that life was unfair. You watched others advance more quickly and receive opportunities for which you had prayed, then began wondering whether you had been forgotten. You questioned why people with less responsibility seemed to possess more resources while you had to consider every small expense. Yet, my beloved child, abundance is not measured only by the speed at which something arrives. Some receive very early and lose very quickly because they never learned how to manage what they were given. Some enter success before understanding themselves and then allow rivalry, pride, and unhealthy relationships to take everything away. I do not want to give you something that turns you away from the good road. I want to prepare not only the resources, but also you, so that when the door opens, you possess enough discernment to know who should walk beside you, what must remain private, and what should be used for a lasting purpose. What you call silence has often been a season in which you were taught to distinguish true needs from temporary desires. In the past, you may have believed that more money would solve every problem, but gradually you realized that certain emptiness cannot be filled by material things. You need security, not merely a large number. You need freedom of choice, not an image that causes others to admire you. You need a lasting foundation, so that you no longer live with resources today while fearing their disappearance tomorrow. Therefore, I used the recent season to teach you how to examine your spending habits, say no to requests that exceed your capacity, and stop using generosity as a way to purchase affection. This preparation may not appear glorious, but it is the necessary foundation for something greater. You also had to learn that not everyone close to you should know every plan you carry. Certain intentions were weakened because you spoke about them too early, before they had fully developed. Some people did not deliberately intend to harm you, but their doubt, gossip, or fear-based view of life caused you to lose confidence. From now on, learn to keep certain seeds in silence. This is not because you must become secretive or distrustful, but because what is growing needs protection from hands that do not yet understand its value. Even a good idea can be damaged when you continually allow others to doubt it on your behalf. Share with those who possess wisdom, experience, and no sense of threat toward your growth. Remember that provision does not always arrive through an unexpected sum of money. It may appear as a new skill, a mentor, a more suitable job, an opportunity to collaborate, a reduced expense, or a wise decision that protects you from loss. If you wait only for something spectacular, you may overlook the smaller doors already opening. Pay attention to what is currently within your hands. Perhaps you have underestimated an ability because it has not yet produced immediate results. Perhaps you continue postponing a task because you fear you are not sufficiently qualified. Yet sometimes, provision begins to move when you take a step with what you already possess, instead of continually waiting for perfect conditions. My beloved child, I am not telling you to sit still and call that faith. Genuine trust always walks with responsibility. Review what must be paid, create a clear plan, learn how to manage cash flow, and do not allow emotion to control every financial decision. When you are anxious, you may feel tempted to spend in search of comfort or give too much in order to preserve a relationship. Yet lasting abundance requires discipline. You do not need to feel ashamed because you are beginning with little. Even a small amount saved is a foundation. A skill practiced daily is still progress. A debt managed consistently is evidence that you are regaining control. Do not despise progress merely because it is not yet large enough for others to notice. Certain doors closed because unseen obligations stood behind them. An opportunity may have promised a great deal of money while demanding that you exchange your peace. Someone may have offered help while secretly desiring control over your decisions. A path may have appeared attractive while gradually drawing you away from the values that preserved you during difficult years. Therefore, when something fails to happen, do not immediately conclude that you lost a blessing. You may have been protected from an unfavorable agreement, an unfair partnership, or a responsibility so great that it would have exhausted you. Protection sometimes takes the form of rejection. I also want you to release the fear that anyone can steal your future. Others may delay you, fail to recognize you, or try to keep you in a lower position, but they do not possess the authority to determine your final limit. Yet do not use this truth to nourish bitterness. Do not spend most of your strength monitoring those who opposed you. Every minute you remain preoccupied with them is a minute you are not using to build what belongs to you. Allow results to come through perseverance, not through a desire for revenge. The deepest success is entering an abundant life without needing anyone to regret how they once treated you. When your resources begin to increase, remember their purpose. Do not allow past scarcity to make you rush to display everything. Build security before seeking recognition. Preserve a reserve, invest in what is lasting, and carefully examine offers that appear too easy. What is given must be managed with humility. You are not being prepared to become superior to others, but to live with greater freedom, help more wisely, and stop being controlled by the fear of lack. True abundance does not make you arrogant. It gives you the ability to choose what is right without selling your dignity under pressure. I, Michael, am leading you out of a season in which you lived merely to survive. Yet you must understand that the new movement may begin very quietly. It may be the day you decide to complete a delayed application, submit a proposal, learn a new skill, or end a commitment that consumes your strength without creating value. Do not wait until you feel completely confident. Confidence often appears after you begin, not before. Take the next wise step, and the road will become unclearer, one part at a time. You have not been forgotten, and delay is not the final answer. Yet, I do not want you to turn hope into passivity. What is beginning to open requires someone who knows how to observe, prepare, and act at the proper time. Keep your heart pure, your hands disciplined, and your mind free from obsession with comparison. What belongs to you will not require you to betray yourself in order to receive it. At the right time, it will arrive with clarity, responsibility, and a peace deep enough for you to understand that the waiting months were not meaningless. They taught you to become someone who not only receives resources, but also preserves, develops, and uses them to build a stable life. Continue forward, my child, because what was held back was not withheld to make you suffer, but preserved until the season when you became mature enough to turn it into a lasting blessing. My child, there are doors in your life that were never closed because you were unworthy to enter them. They remained closed because I refused to allow unsuitable hands to touch what had been reserved for your mission. Certain regions of blessing, resources, and opportunity were covered so deeply that no investigation, manipulation, or selfish intention could decipher them. Others may observe you, ask questions, attempt to understand what you are building, and wonder where your provision will come from. Yet, they still cannot see the whole picture. This is not because you concealed it cleverly or designed a perfect strategy. I placed an invisible boundary around what needed to be preserved. And when I have said no, no human pressure can turn that refusal into permission. You often imagine that protection must always involve a violent battle. But I do not always need to create noise in order to preserve you. Some battles end simply because a door refuses to open. Certain intentions collapse because they are never granted permission to move forward. Some people once came very near, believing that a little more persuasion, intimacy, or an attractive promise would give them access to the deepest places in your life. Then, they suddenly became silent, confused, or withdrew without your understanding why. You believed perhaps you had done something wrong, but often it merely meant that their access had reached a boundary I would not allow them to cross. Some people do not come to love, build, or walk beside you. They come to collect information, measure your ability, and search for a way to benefit from what they sense is forming around you. They may present themselves as mentors, supporters, influential individuals, or people who speak beautifully about noble things. Yet, when their motives are impure, their perception becomes clouded. Whenever they attempt to look deeply into your path, they cannot accurately name what I am doing, predict the next step, or control the process according to their wishes. You were not forgotten or blocked. You were sealed away from interference that could have diverted your future. I know there were seasons when you looked at the delay and wondered why provision had not arrived. You worked, prayed, and tried to preserve integrity, yet the outcome did not appear at the speed you desired. You watched others advance more quickly, possess more, and receive opportunities for which you also believed you were ready. At times, you wondered whether I had forgotten you among countless prayers. Yet, my beloved child, delay is not always rejection, and silence is not always abandonment. Certain things were preserved, because, if they had arrived too early, the version of you who existed then would not have known how to protect them without losing peace. A large resource placed into untrained hands does not merely increase someone's capacity. It also magnifies every unhealed place within them. If money arrives while you still need approval, you may use it to prove your worth. If authority arrives before you learn boundaries, you may become surrounded by those who know only how to exploit. If influence arrives before you are grounded, praise and criticism may pull you away from your original purpose. I do not want what was given to liberate you to become something that binds you to display, fear, or dependence. Therefore, I spent time strengthening the vessel before pouring provision into it. You believed you were waiting for a blessing. But for many years, the blessing was also waiting for you to become wise enough to carry it. I taught you to say no to attractive invitations that lacked peace. I allowed you to see the consequences of trusting the wrong people, so that later you would not hand over keys merely because someone knew how to move your emotions. I led you through seasons of managing little so that you would understand the value of every resource and refuse to treat lightly what was entrusted to you. The days when you had to consider every decision were not proof that you would always live in scarcity. They were classrooms teaching you how to manage abundance with gratitude and responsibility. Certain things were hidden, not from you, but for you. I did not remove your future from reach in order to disappoint you. I simply preserved it in a place where those who had not arrived at the proper time could not touch it. If everything had been revealed too early, some people would have attempted to bind themselves to your journey, merely because they saw personal benefit there. They would have called attachment loyalty, greed concern, and control guidance. Therefore, I allowed many parts of your plan to remain beyond both your observation and theirs. What is unknown is more difficult to manipulate, and what is covered through wisdom will be revealed when you are mature enough to recognize who can walk beside you. Do not panic when someone suddenly loses interest or a relationship unexpectedly dissolves. Not every departure is a loss. Some people remain only while they believe you can provide what they desire. When they cannot access your resources or influence your decisions, their coldness reveals them. Let them leave without pursuing an explanation. Someone who genuinely loves you will not remain only while your future appears promising. They will respect you while you are still building, support you without demanding control, and rejoice in your growth without attempting to turn your results into their property. Neither do I want you to use this protection as a reason to distrust everyone. Not everyone who is curious has harmful intentions, and not every disagreement is a conspiracy. Discernment must walk with compassion and clear evidence. You do not need to live in tension, continually guessing who is attempting to take something. Observe consistency, how others respond to boundaries, and whether they respect your freedom to choose. What I protect does not require you to become a fearful guard. Your responsibility is to live honestly, maintain clear limits, and refuse to give access hastily to those who have not been tested by time. While many things remained hidden, you continued moving forward. You built even when the numbers seemed unable to explain your faith. You treated small tasks seriously, even though no one could yet see great results. You learned, corrected mistakes, saved, created, and prepared during seasons without clear guarantees. Some days, you possessed only enough strength to complete one very small step, yet you still refused to stop. This endurance was recognized, because faithfulness is not measured by speed, but by whether you continue doing what is right before a reward appears. You did not waste those years. Every time you managed something small well, you demonstrated that you could be trusted with more without losing gratitude. Whenever you refused a dishonest shortcut, you strengthened the foundation for something lasting. Each time you chose trust while still acting wisely, something within you became steadier amid changing circumstances. Your perseverance was not knocking upon a forgotten door. It was the process through which your hands were trained to hold what was being prepared without dropping it. The time will come when what was held back begins to appear clearly. By then, you will no longer be the person who prayed for resources merely to escape immediate pressure. You will see the purpose connected to them. You will know what must be preserved, what should be invested, who needs support, and which boundaries cannot be negotiated. You will not allow abundance to pull you away from truth, nor will you permit others to use your compassion to drain what was entrusted for a greater purpose. What arrives will be managed through peace rather than fear of losing it. Therefore, stop calling every closed door failure and every delay proof that you were forgotten. Certain refusals rescued you from agreements whose consequences you could not see. Some people could not gain access because I knew what they would do if they entered too deeply. Certain resources were not yet given because you needed more time to become free from the need to prove yourself. None of this was intended as punishment. It was how I prevented your purpose from being consumed before it matured. My child, continue building in silence. Do not allow what has not yet made logical sense to cause you to abandon what was placed within your heart. Manage what you have well, honor every small opportunity, and keep your hands clean from shortcuts that demand your peace in exchange. What belongs to you will not require you to fight for it in panic. When the appointed time is complete, the opening of the road will carry clarity, and you will understand that nothing was truly withheld from you. It was preserved from misuse, unsuitable hands, and the former version of yourself, so that it could be given at the proper time to someone stable enough to turn blessing into service, provision into responsibility, and achievement into a river of goodness flowing toward many others. You were not set apart because you are weaker than others. You walked along different roads because you carry within yourself a greater capacity than you once recognized. Before you became mature enough to understand who you were, and before you could name the qualities planted within you, your presence already created movements you could not explain. Certain people saw something within you that encouraged them, while others became uneasy because you could not easily dissolve into falsehood. You once believed this difference made you difficult to love, difficult to understand, or unable to find a true place of belonging. Yet I want you to know that you were not left behind. You were simply being guided through a process that those without the same responsibility would not need to experience in the same way. This is why certain trials arrived too early, before you possessed enough language to describe what you were enduring. Some pressures appeared too great for your age, circumstances, and understanding at the time. You had to learn strength during years when you should have been free to live more innocently. You learned to watch the expressions of others, anticipate changes within a room, and attempt to keep everything peaceful while you also needed someone to protect you. You carried sadness without knowing why. It felt so heavy and placed responsibilities upon yourself because you feared that everything would collapse if you released them. I saw the child within you, trying to become a refuge for everyone, while no one asked whether you were exhausted. Those battles did not come because you did something to deserve pain. I do not want you to look back and wonder what you did wrong to be treated that way. Many things occurred simply because you lived among people who carried wounds, limitations, and immature choices of their own. Yet, I did not permit those things to become your final ending. I used each circumstance to teach you the difference between responsibility and burdens that were never yours. between compassion and allowing others continually to drain you. What once confused you is becoming understanding. What once made you feel cursed is being transformed into an ability to support others without judging them. Carrying more does not mean you must endure everything. Greater capacity is not an invitation to accept every wound, remain in every environment, or become the rescuer of everyone who passes through your life. I did not mark you so that others could claim the right to use your kindness. I did not make your heart gentle so that you would be pressured to forgive without boundaries. What you carry is the ability to see deeply, love sincerely, remain steady under pressure, and bring clarity into confusion. Yet these gifts can be used rightly only when you learn to protect your source of life. A lamp called to shine must still be sheltered from winds that seek to extinguish it. I know you attempted to become hard so that you would no longer be wounded. After each disappointment, you told yourself that you would never trust again. Whenever your kindness was disregarded, you believed coldness might make you safer. Yet, no matter how carefully you wore indifference, your gentleness always found a way to return. You still feel moved by an honest story, still desire to lift the weary, and still feel pain when someone is forgotten. At times, you blamed yourself for failing to become indifferent, as though no longer caring were evidence of strength. Yet, my beloved child, true power is not found in ceasing to feel. It is found in feeling deeply, without allowing pain to turn you into someone who causes pain. Look at everything that attempted to take gentleness away from you. Judgments tried to convince you that you were not good enough. Betrayals tried to teach you that no one deserved trust. Closed doors attempted to persuade you that the future had ended. People who left caused you to fear that everyone you loved would eventually abandon you. Yet after all of this, hope remains within you. Perhaps at times it was very small, like a narrow ray of light in the night, but it never disappeared completely. You still awakened, continued your work, attempted to love again, and believed life could become better than what had passed. This is not naivete. It is evidence of strength tested through fire while still preserving its purity. I want you to stop viewing gentleness as your weakest quality. Gentleness prevented you from becoming like those who wounded you. It helped you refuse to use authority for control, words for humiliation, or pain as a reason to behave unjustly. You may have learned to say no, but you can still say it calmly. You may leave a relationship without cursing the person who remains. You can protect yourself without losing compassion. This is a rare kind of strength because many people know only two choices: endure everything or close themselves completely. I am teaching you a third road, the path that carries both love and discernment. What remained within you after years of pressure is the clearest evidence of who you truly are. When every decoration was stripped away, you still chose to rise. When recognition disappeared, you still attempted to do what was right. When no one saw the battle within you, you still refused to allow despair to decide tomorrow. You did not win by controlling every circumstance. You won by refusing to allow circumstances to control your nature. There were moments when you trembled, but still moved forward. There were times when you cried yet remained kind. There were moments when you did not know what to do, but still refused to return to places that had broken your peace. This is power revealed through quiet perseverance. You do not need to prove strength by carrying more pain. Your new season is not a test of how much you can endure. I want you to learn how to receive help, rest when necessary, and allow trustworthy people to share your burdens. A strong person is not someone who never needs anyone. A strong person is humble enough to know when support is necessary. Certain survival habits rescued you in the past, but are not suitable for your future. Continual vigilance, doing everything alone, and fear of depending upon others may have helped you survive isolated seasons. But they must not become walls, preventing you from receiving healthy relationships. Neither do I want you to turn the idea of carrying more into a reason to consider yourself superior. What was entrusted to you is not a crown for display, but a responsibility through which you serve humbly. You may see what others cannot yet see, but this does not make them less valuable. You may endure pressure others cannot yet carry, but this does not give you the right to judge their journey. Strength becomes truly beautiful when it knows how to bend down and lift someone weaker without making them feel small. Discernment becomes useful when it brings clarity, rather than creating distance between you and everyone else. Early difficulties left scars, but scars do not tell only the story of what wounded you. They also declare that you healed enough to continue living. You do not need to hide them, nor must you turn them into your only identity. You are not merely the person who was misunderstood, abandoned, or required to fight alone. You are also the person who learned how to love without erasing yourself, forgive without reopening every door, and hope without denying reality. What you endured did not make you perfect, but it gave you a depth no book could provide. Therefore, stop asking why you are not like everyone else. You do not need to live according to an unsuitable rhythm, merely to prove that you are normal. Care for what I placed within you, but do not turn it into a burden that forces you always to be strong. You are permitted to have vulnerable days, stop, and admit that you need love. Your gentleness does not diminish your authority. It makes that authority safe for those you will lead. Your hope does not prove that you failed to learn your lesson. It proves that darkness could not persuade you to abandon the light. You are still here, and this carries a deeper meaning than you realize. It is not because you never collapsed, but because after every fall, something within you still desired to rise. It is not because you never wanted to close your heart, but because love within you remained stronger than fear. It is not because pressure left no mark, but because it could not take away what was most essential. Continue with that gentleness, but carry boundaries. Preserve hope, but walk with wisdom. Love, but stop forgetting yourself. You were not separated because you lacked value. You were prepared to bring light into places that once caused you to believe you could not survive. Now your presence, still warm, sincere, and filled with hope, is the clearest answer of all. Pressure touched you, but it could not transform you into what it desired.